12th, 2014. Can we have the roll call?
Barbara Brenner.
Here.
Rud Browne.
Here.
Barry Buchanan.
Here.
Sam Crawford.
Here.
Pete Kremen.
Here.
Ken Mann.
Here.
Carl Weimer.
Here. If you'll stand and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a few quick announcements before we get going. If you've got your cell phone with you, if you can put it on silent or vibrate, that will be appreciated. If you're handing out any paperwork during our open session, if you can also please give a copy to our clerk up here in the front. Just a couple of announcements. We've been trying to announce some openings on some of our citizens advisory committees, and we have 2 vacancies currently on the Surface Mining Advisory Committee. You can learn more about that on the council's website. There's also an opening on the Marine Resource Committee for an economic interest. We had 2 committee of the whole meetings today. We had one this afternoon where we had a discussion and formulation of recommendations related to a proposed ordinance approving the 2015-16 Whatcom County budget. Hopefully we're about wrapping up the budget. And we also had a county staff and executives seek input from the council on a proposed 2015 Weimer 1 Watershed Management Project joint board budget. And we had an executive session this evening just before we came out here where we had a discussion with Senior Deputy Prosecutor Karen Frakes regarding pending litigation, Whatcom County versus the Western Washington Growth Management Hearings Board, Skagit County Superior Court Case number 13-2-002-11-9. And we also had a discussion with Senior Deputy Prosecutor Karen Frakes regarding pending litigation, Hurst et al. Versus Whatcom County Growth Management Hearings Board case number 12-2-0013. I think we have a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I move that the county request the Washington Association of Counties to submit an amicus curiae brief in Hurst et al. V. Whatcom County, Court of Appeals, Division 1, case number 70796-5-1 and 72132-1-1.
All right, we have that motion in front of us. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We also have a special presentation this evening, and I think Mr. Kremen is going to start that off.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe would you like to read the second half, or?
Sure.
Because this is
you do it so much better than me.
Well, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, here we have a resolution before us this evening declaring the month of November Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month in Whatcom County, and it reads as follows. Whereas in 2014, an estimated 46,420 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States and 39,590 will die from the disease. And whereas pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest cancers, is currently the 4th leading cause of cancer death in the United States, and is projected to become the 2nd by the year 2020. And whereas pancreatic cancer is the only major cancer with a 5-year relative survival rate in the single digits at just 6%, and whereas when symptoms of pancreatic cancer present themselves, it's generally late stage, and 73% of pancreatic cancer patients die within the first year of their diagnosis, while 94% of pancreatic cancer patients die within the first 5 years. And whereas approximately 880 deaths will occur in Washington State in 2014, and whereas the Recalcitrant Cancer Research Act was signed into law in 2013, which calls on the National Cancer Institute to develop a scientific framework or strategic plans for pancreatic cancer and other deadly cancers, which will help provide the strategic direction and guidance needed to make true progress against these diseases. And whereas the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network is a national organization which serves pancreatic cancer patients in Whatcom County and nationwide through a comprehensive approach that includes public policy, research funding, patient services, and public awareness and education related to developing effective treatments and a cure for pancreatic cancer. And whereas the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network and its affiliates currently battling pancreatic cancer, as well as those who have lost their lives to the disease and are committed to nothing less than a cure. And whereas the good health and well-being of the residents of Whatcom County are enhanced as a direct result of increased awareness about pancreatic cancer and research into early detection, causes, and effective treatments, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Whatcom County Council designates the month of November 2014 as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month in Whatcom County. And we have a gentleman here who came to Councilmembers Brenner and myself to get this resolution passed by the Council. And we're very fortunate to have Mr. It's Heller? Harrell. Would you please come forward? I know that this gentleman is a valiant fighter of pancreatic cancer and is a leader in trying to foster the causes that we're passing tonight. And we would like you to say just a few words about what you're doing this for and to explain a little bit about your plight and your efforts.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Brenner and Mr. Kremen and the rest of the Whatcom County Council. I have a personal interest in this because I have pancreatic cancer. I was diagnosed in November 2012, and you've heard these statistics. They are not at all encouraging. Currently, pancreatic cancer is the fourth killer, as you've heard, and it's projected by 2020 to be the second cancer killer behind lung. But there's hope. Part of the hope is because of proclamations like this and getting the word out about the disease. More and more people are getting interested in it and trying to support it either through runs or memorials, and hopefully this Cancer Act that you read about will help, because now the National Cancer Institute is directly responsible for fostering plans and directed guidance to raise funds. Another factor that is hopeful is that young people, young research workers and other healthcare professionals are entering the field, which is pancreatic cancer is one of the most difficult biological cancers to treat. And with their enthusiasm and new ideas, there's going to be breakthroughs in the near future, we hope. So I want to thank you all for considering this proclamation and raising the awareness of pancreatic cancer. The final thing I want to say is there are several good support organizations in Washington State for people with pancreatic cancer. So if you know patients who are newly diagnosed, it's important to get them in contact with these people so that they can help them and support them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And did you move the resolution?
I move the resolution, and actually before I move it, I would like to commend the efforts of all those who are involved in this fight against pancreatic cancer, and thank you, sir, for your valiant efforts, and Godspeed. And with that, I will move the resolution.
All right, so we have the resolution in front of us. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. I don't think there was ever any doubt about that.
No.
Thank you. Moving on, we have 3 sets of minutes that we need to approve this evening. One is the regular county council minutes for September 30th, 2014, the Board of Health minutes for October 7th, and the regular county council meeting for October 14th. Is there a motion?
Also move.
All right, Ms. Brenner has moved those minutes for approval. Any discussion or corrections? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. We are on to our open session. This is where members of the public can come up and talk to us about whatever you want. Everybody gets 3 minutes. You just line up down here and come up. We'll give you 3 minutes. When it gets down to about 30 seconds, you'll get a warning from the clerk that your time's about up. If your name is more complicated than Smith or Jones, if you can spell it for us, that would be great for the record. And here we go. Who's going to lead off? It looks like Joy. Inspire someone else to speak.
I just might. My name is Joy Gilfillan. My address is 1225 East Sunset Drive. I've been a Whatcom County resident since the early 70s. I'm an entrepreneur and business consultant. I'm also president of the Restorative Community Coalition. I'm here on specific behalf of the coalition to request a public meeting or a committee meeting of the whole, if possible, with the council. It is virtually impossible in 3-minute pieces to talk about the problems that we're facing with the Whatcom County Jail. We want to propose a planning session to discuss actually adopting the no jail alternative that is allowed for in the final environmental impact statement. I've just recently studied with a fine-tooth comb the entire final environmental impact statement, the draft EIS, the supplemental EIS, and there are so many problems in those environmental impact statements that it deeply concerns us. I was quoted in the council in the Bellingham Herald October 4th as saying that we as a society are investing in failure. I stand on that statement, and I'm deeply concerned that we're looking at asking jail planners to help the design team talk about jail alternatives when they define jail alternatives as programs designed to prevent inmates from reoffending. That is the exact opposite of what we have been testifying for. It is to prevent people from becoming inmates in the first place. That is a national definition. As I would read it from the Wikipedia, jail alternatives are any kind of punishment or treatment other than time in prison or jail that can be given to a person convicted of a crime. So to ask the planners who plan for jails, that is their profession, who have repeatedly stated dozens of times in the final EIS report that everything that we have advocated for, everything that dozens of people have asked for, multiple organizations, medical doctors, reverends have asked for in the final EIS, which is to talk about alternatives to crime, alternatives to prison, alternatives, and the jail planners have consistently said it is outside the scope of their work
30
to do
seconds,
that.
Please.
Is inappropriate for our council to continue to randomly do it. We do have solutions, but we can't say it in 3 minutes. We would like to make a proposal to develop an entire plan, to plan for an alternative to the jail that would allow us to not have to encumber the citizens of this community with $100 million in capital costs that they have not approved and hundreds of millions of dollars in operating costs that are consistent that will shackle us forever and potentially bankrupt this county. This is economic development at the grassroots, and we in Whatcom County could change the destiny of our community and this nation right here, right now. We're asking for it, please.
Thank you.
You guys are going to have an easy night, I see that. So,
Well,
John,
you're not done yet.
You're not done. Barbie, you're warming up, huh? I'm John Belisle, 231 10 Mile Road, and Rud kindly alerted me to come up here. So the key performance indicators is the topic here, or responsible awareness, scoring, and reporting. I see it as a way to give feedback to your citizens, to me. I, for one, often wonder what government does for me. I wonder where the money that I pay it goes and what it brings me personally. And I really have no way to find out. But if we use the key in performance indicators with some bar graphs to look at how our parks are made, or maybe our roads are not constructed, but how we rate with other counties, I could have a scorecard to maybe see how that is. Without that, my thoughts shift to a negative government quite quickly, and nobody wants that. I need a way to compare, like I said, the road spending to like communities, or the cost of our government compared to other governments our size. It's just to see where we are and what's happening. A scorecard. Even deeper, I may want to see how effective one of our government sections is, or one of our agencies, and how that agency might stack up against another agency in another county. It's something I deserve as a taxpayer. I realize this is not simple, but it needs to be done, and I understand the fears of maybe staff morale until the edges get worked out and the thing gets worked through, or unintended consequences of people working to the format that's designed, sort of like a education system where the school teaches to the test instead of teaches education. I mean, that's something that really has to be looked at and thought through. We need, just like the teacher needs to stay with the core value and not teach to the test, we need to stay with what we do, but get it reported and analyzed. The bottom line is I, the taxpayer, should demand a published government performance, some reporting. Your managers out here in government, they need to know that so that they can stay on task and work through all the different pressures that get put on a day from all the different people they have to answer to.
30 seconds, please.
And the same thing goes for the workers that work for them. The process helps them remain clear and concise and know where they're going. So it's been a long day, guys. So I think we all deserve the clarity, the feedback that the KPI provides us. We shouldn't fear the consequences. The benefits far exceed anything that we have to fear. It's sort of like the breakfast of the champions. And as voting feedback is something I deserve, so does everybody here in the government.
Thank you.
Thank you,
John.
Rud.
And when we discussed this earlier, there seemed to be general agreement to support that. So. Anybody else this evening?
Hello. I'm Paul Akers, president of FastCap. Address is 1730 Squalicum Mountain Road. I appreciate all the hard work you people are doing. It's not easy to do what you're doing, run for political office and try to govern successfully. I want to also talk about KPIs, key performance indicators. As the president of a company here in Bellingham, we do a lot of benchmarking. And what that means simply is we have companies from around the world come to our facility to kind of see how we're running it, because we're set up as a model company. And this benchmarking is an excellent way, as John just indicated, to find out how we measure up compared to other companies. We recently just had Toyota. We have Amazon regularly come to our facility to kind of see what we're doing. And one of the things that we do that is so different is we do a KPI daily. So every day, I print it out for all of you. I'll just pass it around here if you'd like to look at it. We have key performance indicators on how we're doing on a daily basis. We don't wait every month or every quarter to look at it. We're looking at it minute by minute. And I just want to quickly explain this to you because I don't have a lot of time. But our overall goal for our company is very simple. We want to ship everything, every order within 2 hours of the time we get it, which is really kind of crazy to think that somebody could do that. So we manufacture, package, and ship everything within 2 hours of the time the phone rings or the fax gets there. Well, in order to do that, we've got to have a pretty amazing operation, and it needs to be very lean and very efficient. So we're looking at these key indicators every day. We're looking at whether or not the typing is up to date, 2 hours from the time they get the order. We're looking at the shipping department is on time. We're looking if production one is on time, if engineering is on time, how many mistakes we've made, because this impacts our ability to perform for our customers. Kanbans, back orders, and whether or not there's a single missing tool in the entire facility. These indicators allow us to run efficiently and basically reduce the burden on our company. Work is easy for us. And I think John made a profound statement just a minute ago when he said, we don't want to have a negative view of government. Why not have a super positive view of government by allowing the public to more easily see what you're doing and work as a team to improve that on a regular basis, because we have a clear way of measuring it. And I think the idea of key performance indicators is a profound idea and a very effective idea.
30 seconds, please.
Non-threatening. It is not threatening to me because it's an opportunity for my life to actually improve, quality of my employees' lives to improve, and more importantly, even the world, as they come to view what we're doing, they can see, wow, we can do a lot better job if we're willing to measure and hold that up on a regular basis. There's my comments.
Great. Thank you very much. Anybody else this evening?
Carol Perry, Whatcom County. I didn't plan to speak. I didn't know Mr. Akers would be here. But I have profound respect for him because I've seen his company, and I've seen how it impacted our company. And I've seen how the whole lean thing affects. I remember in this chamber, the planning department came, what was it, a year or so ago? And they were almost giddy because they had worked together and had made it so someone could come in and get a permit and go to one table, and they had just made the whole thing so much more efficient, and they were so excited about it. And as one, and my husband and I, some people even kind of make fun of us because we go to so many meetings. But that affords us a perspective of government like nobody else has, I think. And you may think it's a waste of time, but you get to see people in different situations, PUD meetings. We've followed the joint board since January 2013. All the water meetings. The inefficiency is, I don't want to cast blame on anyone, but it's terrible. And so I think just hearing him speak to you, I want to say yes. It produces amazing efficiency in companies, and it can do it in government too. We've heard some amazing stories. So I just say, keep your ears open. And I've just been amazed today even at some of your, Mr. Kremen's remarks about common sense. That's good. Anyway, I'm unprepared. I'm sorry. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Last chance. All right, we're going to close the open session, and we're going to move on to our consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, the Finance Committee met today, considered the 3 consent agenda items, recommended all of them for approval unanimously, and I would so move.
All right, we have that motion in front of us. Any discussion on any of those items? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
And the only other item in finance was the ordinance amending the 2014 Whatcom County budget, 17th request in the amount of $77,912. And this is for the repair of the kitchen floor in the jail, which is falling apart. The old jail, not the new jail. So the committee considered that, recommended approval 3-0, and I would so move.
All right, we have the motion in front of us. Any discussion? Guess we're ready for the roll call.
Barbara Brenner,
Yes.
Rud Browne,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes.
Sam Crawford,
Yes.
Pete Kremen,
Yes.
Ken Mann,
Yes.
Carl Weimer.
Yes. All right. Oh, I can't hardly believe my eyes that we're on to introduction items already.
That's weird.
And we have a pile of them, so our next meeting will not be as short and sweet as this one appears that it's going to be.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to accept the introduction items.
All right. So we're accepting all the introduction items. We have kind of a whole range of additional ones.
This is a substitute for 6 year.
And this is the substitute for the 6-year CIP.
And my motion included the acceptance of the substitute version.
Okay.
One question.
Yes.
I don't. This is just to go on for introduction. We had a discussion, but we didn't come to any consensus.
All right. So the motion, the introduction items on our agenda, along with this addition for the 6-year CIP.
We're going to make another change to, where's my list? Let's see, introduction item number 23. We're going to change the proposed schedule to public hearing on December 9th instead of November 25th.
Okay. Anything else? Ms. Brenner?
Yeah, I don't know if it's Mark or Tyler who should answer this, but I thought we were going to get a copy of the changes. I mean, we're going ahead and doing this and like saying, okay, yeah, but we were supposed to get a copy of those changes. I want to make sure they are what we did.
You're talking about the Parks and Recreation level of service?
That was the activity center
Yeah.
stuff. That got taken out.
That's what's in that package.
Okay. There were...
It was emailed to you. I think Matt emailed it to everybody.
Oh, I
this
haven't
afternoon, but
been
you
to my
probably didn't see
email
it.
yet.
Yeah.
We've been kind of loaded. But there was another part, too, that Matt gave us a 2-page document, and there were changes. There was one change at the bottom of the first page and one at the end of the second page. The one at the first page was about we're looking at the likelihood of creating approximately 52 miles of trails with this, but then we changed the level of service, which was supposed to give us a much higher number, but we didn't see that number, and you guys were going to come back to us with it. So,
Yeah, that's what's in the packet.
I know, but I haven't
Right.
seen it.
So-
So, can you tell us what it is?
Is it the .60?
Yeah, it's back to .60.
I know, but
back
then
to the existing.
that's
and
I'm. But it has to. It was supposed to also tell us how that would change the miles of trails.
It's 70 miles now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Nope. Well,
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, so I just want to make clear that we're asked just a background on number 23 on the Slater Road, Elder Road rezone. We had a discussion with the applicant and the neighbor, Mr. Doggart, after the P&D committee today. They asked a little bit of time to work with each other on updating the site plan, and they wanted to push the public hearing from November 25th to December 9th. So that's
great. That's why
That's
that is. That's
good.
good.
yeah, we talked about that in committee
Yeah.
too.
And then we're doing the same, I think, with number 22, the MRLs.
Yeah, that one's just been pulled from introduction until we talk about it, I guess,
Okay.
on December 9th.
On December 9th. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Brown.
Just for the record, could we just clarify what the changes are to the CIP?
Yeah,
I
they should be
can't.
in red.
Somebody might be able to. Oh, this one?
Yes.
Okay. The following documents are attached with changes shown with the underlining and strike-throughs. Ordinance, revised ordinance deleting references to amending the level of service standards. Please note that if the full council accepts these amendments, makes no change to the existing level of service in Chapter 4 of the current comprehensive plan, then Exhibit A could simply be removed from the ordinance and the other exhibits renumbered accordingly. Number 2, Exhibit A, revised Exhibit A restoring the existing language in Chapter 4 of the current comprehensive plan. Number 3, Exhibit B, revised Exhibit B with the changes to the 6-year capital improvement plan. These changes are relative to the Planning Commission version. Please note that on page F7, there was a motion to delete the second sentence under future needs, but also discussion to insert the number of additional trail miles that would be needed to meet the existing level of service of 0.60 miles of trail per 1,000 people. This number has been inserted. I've attached the Word version so you can delete the sentence if that is the council's direction. The number of miles needed was inserted so that it can be compared with the potential miles to be added over the 6-year planning period that appears in the proposed improvement projects on page F7. There were no changes to Exhibit C. The existing CIP would be repealed. If that hopefully that made more sense to you than it did to me. But,
it was clear as mud. Sorry.
Okay.
That sounded accurate.
I wasn't in that meeting, so it makes sense. Ms. Brenner.
Well, I know that some people thought it was kind of a rough meeting. I think what we did was really important in that meeting, and I'm going to support it as an introduction item, but that doesn't mean I'm going to support it as a final document. We had a lot of questions about level of service and what it really means and how it's really calculated and if it's really if it makes a lot of sense. So, and also some ideas about being more creative about what a trail consists of, what a park consists of. I'll specifically tell you about a park. I feel if we're talking about regional parks, we should be talking about everything within. We're talking about all the people within Whatcom County. We should be talking about all parks available within Whatcom County that people access, not just in the unincorporated areas, and using also city, county, state, and federal. So that's another thing.
All right. I look forward to that discussion.
Okay.
All right. So we have the introduction items in front of us. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We're on to other items, and I think Mr. Browne had one.
Pass it down, and then the woman with the magic number. So this is the resolution we talked about earlier about key performance indicators and performance management. I don't have a list of the typos, but Madam Clerk has indicated she's cleaned up a couple of typos.
She cleaned up the ones I saw.
And then this is the number she wanted to provide for the AB number.
For the what?
Which would be AB 2014-380.
All right. So you're moving to approve this?
I move to approve it.
All right. Any discussion on the resolution?
I think it's, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to commend Councilmember Browne for bringing this forward. I think it's just good practice. I think it'll be ultimately good for county government as well as the people of Whatcom County, and I commend Councilmember Browne for putting in the effort, the time to bring this forward.
Thank you.
Ms. Brenner.
This is the cynic in me, and I'm going to get a hold of Mr. Akers because I want to find out if he believes this can be well translated into government, because I have a little concern about what we get told, and all these numbers and statistics that we do and what it really is on the ground. So maybe he can tell me some ideas that make it, and Mr. Browne too, that would make the government, any government, be able to really have the motivation, ability, and do it to make these numbers mean a whole lot to people, not just numbers.
If I may respond to that, I think one of the benefits of this is it increases transparency. So if one of the departments puts a number like, let's say Public Works says, well, we resurfaced 20 miles of roads this season, and then you look at it and you say, well, hang on, we didn't approve the materials to do that. How do you mean you did 20 miles? So, or we approved materials for 30 miles. What happened to the other 10? So I think by bringing these numbers out and making them public, you do actually increase the transparency and the ability to make government accountable. So.
I'm counting on you.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. We have the resolution in front of us. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Any other items? If not, we'll move on to committee reports. Any committee? I don't think Natural Resources didn't meet. Anything else in planning today? No. Public Works?
I already told you.
All right.
What happened in Public Works.
Finance? Anything else?
We were discussing earlier that we did have a rather lengthy discussion about the fact that the Comcast franchise agreement has been long expired. Our Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Daniel Gibson, along with the County Executive, has been working with Comcast, and we've requested that the Prosecuting Attorney make a presentation to the Council. It may not be till after the start of the year. I'm not sure what the timing is, but it will be to kind of just inform us what this franchise is all about and what our rights and responsibilities are in terms of granting that franchise. We certainly hear a lot from the community, whether it be formally or informally through our social networks, with varying opinions about the sole provider of cable services in most of Whatcom County, which is Comcast. And we'd like to know, if there are things that we can do as a council to either improve that service or make it more cost effective for the people that subscribe to the service. So be interested to see that, and like I said, that'll be in an upcoming meeting.
All right. Ms. Brenner.
I just wanted to comment on that, too. I talked to the Attorney General's office, the Department of Consumer Affairs, and he gave me some ideas. One of them, and I think, I don't want to speak for you, but I think Councilmember Kremen is going to talk to the WASAC, Washington State Association of Counties, to see if any of the others are doing it. But he also suggested NACO, because there's other unincorporated areas and even small towns and all, they're in the exact same position we're in. He also gave me the name, and I haven't been able to track him down yet, but he was at WSU, and it was this Center for Digital Responsibility, and I've got the guy's name, and because I don't want it just to be Dan talking to Comcast. I feel like we really do need to get outside the box here and look at what other people have, what other communities have done, because the FCC is really who will make the decision. It's not going to be anybody else, and I'm sure there's other communities around the country that have done some good things, I hope.
All right. Look forward to that. Council member updates. Let's start down at that end.
I just want to add one thing. That my understanding is that the Comcast franchise is non-exclusive. Is that correct? So whether we approve, or whether we support or not support Comcast's continuing franchise, it doesn't stop someone else. Even if Comcast is here, it doesn't stop someone else also providing service. So, other than that, I have no other updates.
All right.
Oh, sorry, no, I actually do have one update. I did have a very interesting time recently, actually, coincidentally. Paul Akers was the host of a very influential group of business leaders who came into town and spent the day at Paul Akers' plant looking at how to incorporate lean. And that's actually, I'd known Paul for years, but we actually reconnected at that point and got talking about things. And I said it at Paul's plant, and I'll say it again publicly. I wish when I was running my business I'd taken the time to really sit down and see what Paul's done, because it's truly spectacular. It's a tremendous example of how to be efficient, and I thought you had an excellent work environment, people very motivated, obviously really enjoyed where they worked, and the productivity was outstanding. And I'm not suggesting it's got nothing to do with key performance indicators, but you might be surprised that the only place there's a chair in his place is in the lunchroom. Everybody else stands up the whole day. I think you said it takes about 2 weeks, I think, to adapt to. But it's a very, very interesting place.
All right. Mr. Buchanan, anything? Mann?
I would like to report that I got to serve as the chair of the canvassing board for Whatcom County to certify our watershed improvement districts with voting. And I just want to commend our staff, Dana, and everyone in our office who just did an amazing job collecting the votes, sending out the ballots, collecting the votes, certifying them, making sure everybody was accurate and included is quite an intricate and detail-oriented process. So I just want to thank them for their efforts and accuracy, and all 4 WIDs passed very easily. So that's my report, and just kudos to our staff.
All right. Ms. Brenner.
I attended a Veterans Day ceremony at the Mount Baker High School, and if people haven't had an opportunity in a year to go to that particular ceremony, there's great ones all over the county, but I really would encourage you to at least one year attend the one out there. There were quite a few veterans from World War II all the way up to present time, and I think it's very important that we don't forget how important our veterans are. And we get to complain and protest and do all these things because we had people who were willing to die to defend our right to do this. Thank you.
Mr. Kremen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I attended a veterans meeting that was held last Friday, hosted by Congressman Rick Larson at the American Legion Post 7. And it was very enlightening to see. First of all, it was a very robust turnout. According to Congressman Larson, it was the largest turnout of any of the ones he's held before. That's a good thing, but it kind of is a double-edged sword because it's an indicator that there are a lot of veterans out there that are not getting the services that they need. The demand is greater than it's ever been because we have so many returning veterans coming from the Middle East. And we, as you well know, Whatcom County has, I think, the highest percentage of Gold Star veterans and Vietnam vets per capita in Washington State. And so the demand here is quite significant. It's more than what the feds are willing to fund. We have good programs. The result of the meeting was that in spite of the fact that programs have been put in place to serve our veterans, there hasn't been adequate funding to make them work efficient and effectively. And that was very apparent at the meeting. And as I say, it was good that there was a large turnout. There were several veterans who were there even though they were Vietnam vets, from years and years ago, from the 60s and the 70s. And this was the first meeting they've ever come to because they've been afraid or just not willing to come forward to say they need help, and now they need it, and it's very hard to get it. And when they get it, it takes as much as 18 months to get in to get served. So there's a problem there. The congressman's aware of it, and we're working together as a community to give the veterans the proper care that they deserve.
Thank you. Mr. Crawford. All right. Any other business for the good of the order? Seeing none, we are adjourned.